Hello, anti-novelists, Lilligans, and friends. Here is another episode of Zettelkasten for Fiction where imagination finds order. So I wanted to take a minute, since we're getting ready for our annual fall trip, and walk you through some of the things that I take with me when I do these writing retreats. I do at least 2 a year of 10 to 12 days, and it's strictly an off-grid, basically off-road trip for writing. Now, I was very limited in the spring when we took our canoeing trip up to the Boundary Waters of Canada because I could only take literally ounces worth of extra things because I could only take what I could carry in my pack. So that was very limiting. Same for when we went into the Idaho backcountry on horseback. It was a 3-hour ride on horseback with pack mules. So again, I was very limited in what I and my animal could carry. This trip, however, is one of my favorites because we're not doing any of that pack muling or canoeing. I don't have any constraints on what I can take. So I can take it all. So I want to walk you through some of the things that I take with me in order to make my Zettelkasten mobile so that I can work literally anywhere as long as I can take what I need to take. So I'm going to flip the camera around and we will take a look at what I take when we go off-road for a writing retreat. Okay, so here we are on the desk. So one of the first things that I like to have with me when I do a retreat is obviously I need note cards. So this is a little mobile deck that I've created by taking 3x5 cards, cutting them in half, putting a hole in the upper left-hand corner, and fastening them together with a book ring. It works super well. It doesn't require a battery. It doesn't need charging. It's not going to die on me. I don't have to worry about it crashing. It's just a deck of cards. It's colored by character or scene. So if I'm working in a particular, let's say I'm working in Tara, my female main character, red and pink are her colors for past and present. Same for Branch. He's light blue, dark blue. So whoever I'm working on, I've just got this little mobile deck of cards with me. So as I'm going through, whether we're driving or maybe I'm going to take a hike and I can just throw these in my bag, I always take a multicolored pen. This has 3 colors and a pencil all in one. That is so easy to just throw in my pocket and take with me. Often, if I'm out running around during the day, this is what I take because I have everything I need in order to capture those moments or thoughts based on the character by using my color code system, and boom, easy peasy. A second way that I bind these together is just using a Bulldog clip. So I've gotten several questions in the videos that I've just been doing, videos basically 51 through 54. I'm answering questions about how do you capture those random ideas, those random things that maybe they're not relevant to a particular character. So at the time you're thinking, well, that doesn't really go on a character card. Well, those kinds of things are just going to go in my scene cards. Sometimes I write on these half-size ones. Sometimes I write on bigger cards, but I just Bulldog clip those together. Whatever observations or things that I note throughout a day, throughout a week, and usually about once a week, I go through these little mobile decks and I incorporate them either into full-on character cards, setting cards, scene cards, or maybe they get populated into my writing notebook. So that's 2 examples of things that I take on the go, especially when we travel. These are easy, handy, super, super nice. Another thing that I will take, especially when we go on long travels, which are what I use for my writing retreats, is this is what I call a plot sandwich. I have a 3x5 one and I have a 4x6 one. And these are just note cards with tabs. You can see I've got a tab 1, a tab 2, a tab 3, and a tab 4. And that's just the 4 acts of a story. So in the same way that my plot box, which lives over in my Zettelkasten, has those plot points, so that as I have an idea, maybe I have an idea on this certain thing, and I can go to my little plot sandwich and I can say, okay, I think that happens somewhere at the beginning of Act 2. So I'm going to go to my Act 2 area. I'm going to set that card in there, and then it's just housed in that sandwich for safekeeping. Same if I'm using the large plot sandwich. This is just Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and Act 4. And I have each of my major plot point things numbered 1, 2, 3, etc., and so on. So let's say I'm thinking of this item, which let's say I have a note card with an item on it, and I'm thinking, you know, I think that goes somewhere around the end of Act 1 coming into Act 2. So I'm going to go to the end of Act 1 coming into Act 2, and I'm just going to place that card there. If I've already punched it, I might tab that card into the discs, and then that card is there in that place where I think it goes in my story. So that's just a simple way of marking things so that you don't lose them when you're traveling or moving around and writing. So now let's get into the big thing. This is something when I am not bound by the constraints of weight or size. I picked up this amazing, awesome little file box. It holds 1,200 cards. It's about 10 inches long. Obviously, it's a little over 6 inches wide because it holds 4x6 cards. And this is what I'm setting up. So you can see here in the back, I already have the book that I'm writing for you separated out by parts. I start with a tab that labels part 1, and I go back to a tab that takes me all the way to part 9. And then I have one tab marker for each chapter, going all the way back through chapter 31. This is obviously 31 days of the month, but I'm using it for 31 chapters. And then I have extra tabs in case I go beyond 31. I don't think I will, but I like to have them just in case. So this is how I will sort and edit and keep track of this book that I'm writing for you. In addition, I want my keyboard. In addition to this, I have my outline. This is my current outline, which is 25,862 words at this edit, and it just goes through each section of the book. So section by section, chapter by chapter, it's everything that I'm working on, and then I've left myself a nice big column of notes to make notes to myself, changes, move things around, what have you. But armed with just this box with my cards and this outline of the contents of the book, I can set about the task of editing, reviewing, doing some new writing, whatever I need to do in order to get the book done. So having just these two things, I don't have to worry about, do I have a charger? Will there be electricity? In many cases, there's not. We just have a generator, which is fine. I'm doing my drafting by hand generally anyway. So it doesn't hurt me to not be able to use my computer, though I will take my laptop. Sometimes if I just get really fatigued and I need to write by hand, I either do it on note cards or I do it in a dedicated notebook. Or sometimes I use a paper packet. But regardless, as long as I have a way to track my plot, which I will use a plot sandwich for that, because I considered having my plot box in here, which I'm submitting the chapter on the plot box to my critique partners tomorrow, which is Saturday, September 7th. So they will be reading this chapter on how to create this part of your box. But I've decided rather than taking up that real estate in my file box with those plot box cards, I would rather just have my little mobile plot sandwich, which is much smaller, and save that real estate, which would probably hold at least 300 cards. I'd rather save that for including new things as I start to expand out these later chapters for you. So that's what I'll be taking. This little baby zips up nice and tight. It's waterproof. It does have a locking mechanism on the front, which I'm not going to need to use, but it's kind of groovy to have. But yeah, this is going to be my travel case for the book that I'm writing for you. So I can just take my cards along with me, not have to worry about it. And then I've got my little mobile sets of cards should I need to have those at hand. So there you have it. That is a look at my mobile plot box, how that looks, how I use it. Of course, I will be taking my colored pens because, you know, I'm a geek and I can't leave without those. But otherwise, I have everything I need right here in order to get this book finished and get it through a final draft so that I can get it into your hands. Because as you know, my goal is to hold your book in my hands. So I'll get this one done for you, and then you can get cracking on writing one for me. I will leave you there for today. Tomorrow we will dive back into creating scene cards and archiving and cataloging those things over in your Zettelkasten, or in my case, I will start adding things in this box now because this is what I'll be working out of for the next few weeks to get ready for leaving on our trip, which will be October 1st. So I like to start well ahead so that I'm using the tool that I will have with me so that I don't have a learning curve when I get there. Everything is where I need it. I'm used to using it. Things are easy to find. So I'll just dive right into work as soon as we arrive out at camp, which will be in central Wyoming. So that's all I have for you today. I will see you in the next video tomorrow when we dive back into writing scenes and sequels and capturing those details. As always, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. I will see you tomorrow.